Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. So, hi everybody. My name is Gabriela Salawanchik. I'm the manager for recruitment and outreach in the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm a twice alum of Western. I studied early childhood education and I taught for a few years. Found they were too young. Then I worked at Western Michigan University Homer Stryker MD School of Medicine. It's quite a mouthful. WMed, and I worked in curriculum and then also in admissions there. And then after that, I got my master's in higher education student affairs, and now I'm here at Western working in my just right zone with undergraduate students. I'm going ahead, go ahead and let my other panelists, Ray, introduce herself and talk a little bit about what she's doing at Western.
Hi, my name is Ray. I am an Arts and Sciences student ambassador, and I'm currently a junior this year. I am a biology major with a psychology minor, and I'm in the Lee Honors College. So if you have any questions specifically about those minor/majors, or about the Lee Honors College, please send me a chat or put it in the chat, and we can talk more about it.
So as I touched on earlier, we have 100 plus majors and minors for you to choose from, anywhere from biology, chemistry, to history, philosophy, and everything in between. We have 25 different departments, which are a lot of departments when you look at maybe like aviation that has like 3, or fine arts that has 4, we have 25. And so we have a lot of different options for you. We actually are going to talk about a couple new majors we just added recently this past June and a couple new minors. But we have about 4,500 students enrolled in our college, which makes us the largest college on campus, not only because of our robust options for majors and minors, but because of our student body within the college. So if you were to think of Western as an umbrella, Arts and Sciences is one of 7 colleges under that umbrella. So we have Broncos that graduate, and within 3 months of graduation, 91% of them will either be working full-time, part-time, or going back and continuing their education. Stryker and Pfizer are a couple of big wigs in the area that our graduates have gone on to work at, but we've also gone places like Disney, Johnson & Johnson. Some of them bleed brown and gold, much like myself. We have Fort St. Joseph, which we'll talk a little bit more about, or they decide to continue their education. Maybe they'll go on to WMed, PreLaw, stay at WMU to get their master's degree. So a lot of different options. So we're going to start with undergraduate research, and I'm actually going to let Ray start talking about this a little bit because she's actually a part of Project Lead the Way, and she'll be able to touch on like what that's about.
Yeah, so Project Lead the Way is a program put on by Western's research professors. And what they do is they go into schools that have what's called a STEM program. And they teach students about their research and allow them to actually participate in them. So when I was in high school, I was actually fortunate enough to be at one of these schools that offered a STEM program. So I was able to meet Dr. Wendy Bean, who is a professor and researcher on Western's campus, and she was able to come into my class, and I learned a lot about her research and got to meet her before I even stepped on campus. And then I was able to have that connection before I even became a Bronco. So even if you don't have that program at your high school, maybe if you were to join research further down the road, you could actually be in a research lab that goes into schools like the ones like mine and teach students about the research that you're doing and offer them that stepping stone that I was able to have in high school.
So we do like to emphasize the undergraduate part in our undergraduate research, because if you go to some other larger universities, they may give those opportunities to just graduate students or, faculty specialists. But because we are a research institution, and because I think of us like that Goldilocks size, where we're not too big and we're not too small, we do allow students that are undergrads to be able to get into the labs inside and outside the classroom and get that research. I actually know a student that graduated. She went to WMed and she's now in her residency, but while she was at WMed, she got published from research that she conducted while she was at Western as an undergraduate student. And so that's a really big deal to be able to add that to your resume, CV, when you're applying for professional schools and everything afterward. I did talk about, sorry, I almost forgot, Fort St. Joseph. So Fort St. Joseph is an archaeological site that is located in Niles, Michigan, and it's artifact enriched. There's lots of artifacts there. They're uncovering stuff every day, and they're real artifacts, like from the 1700 fur trading time. They have like muskets and like not sea glass, but like glass. The Fire River. But they also are building on top of an old foundation of a house that actually used to be there, using the techniques that they would have used back then. And so there's a 6-credit course you can take for if you want some of that hands-on experience of like what it's like to section off an area, find an artifact, then you have to go back, research it, catalog it. And so the students there get to go through all phases. And actually, I got to talk to some of the students, and they came from all over parts of Michigan because they heard about our program and they really wanted to give it a shot over the summer. It's kind of like a camp experience, because what you do is you actually stay there on the premises. So we have what are called registered student organizations on campus, or RSOs. There are 450 on campus total. There's a lot. There actually used to only be like 300, 350 when I was an undergrad. And so in the past few years, they've really grown. You can do anything from, there's zombies versus humans, there's drinking tea by the pond, there used to be a squirrel club, RIP. And now we have all of these clubs that are a little bit more academic based. If you want something that's not as social, that's a little bit more focused for the field that you're interested in, we do have all these different clubs. We have about 36 of them located within our college for undergraduate students. We have ones for graduate as well, but those are usually for graduate students. But you can join German club, PreLaw society, even if you're a chemistry major, but you're really interested in Russian, you can join the Russian club if you want to. Really, any of these clubs you're able to join while you're on campus. And if you see something, or if you don't see something and you want to start a club, you can. It just takes you 2 or 3 other people, and you write a constitution and have somebody that oversees the club, or like a mentor, faculty member, and then you're able to have a club. So that could also look good on a resume. If you started a club, if you worked your way up in a club, like campus activities board, I know that they usually have, like, you come in, you have to go to so many meetings and you can vote, and then eventually you can get on the board for it and make those big decisions of like, which movie are we going to bring to campus for everybody? Which, singer are we going to have come to campus? And so you can really be involved and have your voices be heard. Study abroad. But when we do open everything back up, 1 in 10 of our students typically will study abroad, because we do require 2 semesters of a language. So we have Spanish, and we also have world languages from like German, Russian. We have also the classics, so like Latin. We also have French. So a lot of different options for you to choose from. You only need 2 semesters. I know, Ray, which ones did you take again?
I took Spanish.
You took Spanish, that's right. You took Spanish. So you're able to take any languages that you're interested in, and then you could also test out depending. So when you get closer to orientation, if you apply, decide to come to Western, you go to orientation, you can talk with the department chairs and faculty in those departments, and to see if you're able to test out of a language. But we do offer scholarships for students as well. And so if you're like, I don't know if I can really afford it, like, am I actually able to go? You can actually apply for scholarships, and it could drive down the cost to equate either staying here for another Michigan winter or going to Costa Rica. So you really have those options, because we have about 20 faculty-led programs in 17 different countries, but really we also have ones that are through third parties. You can go to a student-led one, independent one. It could be for a semester, it could be for a year, a week. I went for 4 days with my master's program. And so there's just a lot of different options for you to be able to study abroad. So we have 3 different pathways. We have PreHealth, PreLaw, and pre-secondary. We call them pathways because you wouldn't come in with like a pre-med major. You would come in with something like biology or biomedical sciences, and then you would have this pathway as a focus. So I'm actually going to let Ray talk about her major a little bit more, because I know that biology, when you think of biology, it's very broad, but you're actually able to narrow down your interest here while at Western.
Yeah, so I am going into animal conservation, more specifically focused on marine life. So there isn't necessarily a marine biology major at Western or a conservation major at Western, but what I can do is I can take the core classes that I need in order to graduate, and then I get to pick from a whole slew of different electives within my major that will fulfill the requirements for me to graduate, and also allow me to study what interests me, and those classes that I might need if I were to go on to do a master's program or go into a vet program or something like that. So you really just have to take these core classes, and then you can tailor your experience based on what you want to do with your future. So like with your pre-pathways, you'll have your core classes, and then you'll have other elective courses within that will help you to get into medical school or to get into law school, those classes that you will need in order to apply. So it's just like that, and you don't have to be going into like a pre-professional pathway. You can be going into something like I'm going into and still be able to tailor your experience in order to have that education that you need to go into that field prepared. So it's not like something very specific like marine biology or marine conservation. Like it's something very broad like biology, but I can tailor it in order to suit what I need.
Exactly. And so with our pre-health pathway, you can, if you can focus your interest on any one of these different professionals. So like medical, physical therapy, physician's assistant, any one of those, and you would major in something like biomedical sciences or biology. What's nice about biomedical sciences is it has a chemistry minor built into it. But honestly, after working at WMed and seeing the applications that I have that come through for medical school, there is no A plus B equals medical school. And so we saw people that were interested in Spanish, graphic design, all those different areas. As long as you meet the strong science foundation courses that they recommend for you, or some places require, and you get a high MCAT score, I mean, that's just the beginning. They really look at, it's a holistic process. And this can be said for actually a lot of different areas when you're applying for professional school. They look at your metrics, but also your attributes and experiences. So were you a leader on campus? How did you get involved? Did you volunteer? Did you get out in the community? And so they really just want to make sure that you're not only a good fit for them, but they are a good fit for you. And so these are some of the organizations that we have within our college that you're able to join and be able to boost your resume. And I know I keep talking about that, but that actually, you know, that's something that's important once you get toward your junior, senior year, when you're applying for those internships, or even their freshman year, if you decide to apply for an internship. If you join these clubs, you can talk. I know for sure the American Medical Student Association, they actually go, there's a day that's set up at WMed where the assistant dean for admissions will meet with you, and you get to meet other medical students that are there, and you go around for a tour. Get to see the simulation center. So there's a lot of different things that you're able to do and network while you're a part of these clubs. So we have what is called WMed Start. So we do have some perks because we are affiliated with the medical school. So you move through the process quicker if you are going the traditional route. So that if you apply your senior year, you've already taken the MCAT, you got your score, you're applying to all the medical schools, you move through the process quicker. So sometimes like someone could apply a week before you, but you find out before they do because were a Western grad. We also have something called WMed Start where you apply your junior year and you submit your ACT and SAT scores, either or, depending which one you took, because you haven't taken the MCAT yet, and your application, resume, recommendation, small fee, things like that. And then if you're invited for an interview and you get accepted into the medical school, mind you, this is still your junior year, you haven't applied yet, you're through the traditional route for any other schools, that they can then offer you, you know, a spot saying, hey, you know, I know you're going to be coming back, you're not going to be coming here next year, but you'll come here the following year, we'll save you a spot. If you sign that paper saying, yes, I want to go here, this is a dream come true, then you sign that paper saying, yes, I'm going to go there, and then you're in, and then you take the MCAT as a formality. If you do not get in through this route, so for whatever reason WMed Start doesn't work out, that's okay. You can still apply your senior year through the traditional route and it doesn't hinder your chances. Okay, pre-law. So with pre-law, it's similar to pre-med. You can pretty much major in anything. And what's nice is that if you decide that you actually want to, instead of maybe you were looking at communication, but then you decide to switch to marketing, but you're still interested in law, even though you'll switch to the business college, you still have access to our pre-law advisors, which is really nice. So we have two courses. We have a pre-law seminar course and a pre-health seminar course you can take while you're within our college. If you would like to take a 2-credit course your first semester while you're a freshman. And it basically is just, it's like that bridge between you and the professional world. So you're able to meet speakers, they will come in, you learn about your strengths. So your top 5 strengths within, it's like Gallup. I know Stryker for sure uses Gallup, but it's just like the Clifton strengths. You do a lot of different team building. So there's a lot of different ways to be able to build your toolbox for the profession that you're interested in. And then these are just some of the classes, like you can take this wrongful conviction program that studies most common cases of wrongful conviction. And then also we have the Pre-Law Society. Okay, last pathway, the pre-secondary education pathway. So this one's new. It's just starting this year actually within our college. It used to be that you had a major in secondary education in the College of Education Human Development. Now it is a little bit more content driven. And so it is going to be in the College of Arts and Sciences. And so what you would do is you'd major in something like English. And then you'd have a pre-secondary education pathway focus. And then what that means is that you will take the content, you are an English major through and through, but then what differentiates you a little bit with your pre-secondary education pathway are these 3 courses on the side. And those 3 courses are content, and they help you get those contact hours with students. So like you'll go out in the community, after school program, things like that to be able to get you that exposure to students. And then what you would do is you would apply for the master's program that's in the College of Education Human Development. You'd apply like your senior year. You take the MTTC, and then it's a 14-month like boot camp, not boot camp. So I guess that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is actually it's an intensive course. So it's just master's courses, and it's seminars, and it'll also be your internship. So a lot of different things packed into 1 year, but you'll be able to then come out and be a teacher afterward. And I'm going to let Ray go ahead and talk about the accelerated graduate degree programs.
So accelerated graduate degree programs, these are the ones that we have added in the last couple of semesters, and we're adding new ones all the time because we understand like not everybody is just these majors. So what we do with accelerated degree programs is you can apply for this program your junior year, and you can actually start taking master level classes your senior year and get a head start on your master's program. So you'll be taking your master level courses your senior year, getting credit for both your senior year and your first year of your master's degree. So you only have 1 more year after that. So you save a little bit of money, and as on top of that, you also save the whole year that you can be off and doing your career. So these are the majors that we currently offer that in, but we're adding new ones all the time. The asterisks actually mark the ones that had just been added. So you'll see that data science was just added recently. So this is a good program to take advantage of if you know that you are wanting to get your master's degree, and definitely recommend if you decide to do your master's degree and you want to do it at Western to look into an accelerated graduate degree program. And even if you don't see the major that you're planning on doing, does not mean that there won't be a program for you once the time comes, because like I said, we're adding them all the time. So this is something to definitely look into if you're looking into getting your master's degree.
Yeah. And so when we say you take credits your senior year, you take up to 12 credits, and then you pay undergraduate tuition rate. And so typically the graduate tuition rate, if you're not familiar with this, is a little bit higher than an undergraduate student. So you would save a little bit of money that way. And then Ray was talking about the time, because then you only have about 1 more year after that. And so it is pretty nice. I wish they would have had something like this when I was an undergrad. I would have really appreciated it. But we recently added this past year, actually, history and public history. So we, like Ray said, we just keep adding them all the time. So talk to your advisor about your junior year-ish about which program would be fit for you if you're interested. So I said we had a couple new majors that we were adding. So we added recently a public and nonprofit administration major. This is for students that are interested in going into government or nonprofit. So technically speaking, Western is a nonprofit. And so, if you want to work at a university, that could be something you could major in this. If you want to go into government, we also have political science. And so these kind of go hand in hand. So maybe you have you can have a nonprofit minor with your political science, and vice versa with the public administration. So there's just a lot of different options for you. And then we also have environmental geology. So it's really funny that came up, because that came up the other day where someone was actually interested in the environment, but also geology. And I was like, oh, this is perfect for you. And so if you're interested in working like for oil or gas industry, mining, consulting, even writing, if you can get a creative writing minor, and maybe you write for a magazine, maybe you write patents, maybe you help with that kind of stuff. And so environmental geology could also be up your alley. And then we have 2 new minors. We have what I call the robot minor. It's user experience / human computer interaction. And so it really takes AI into consideration and how it interacts with you in the world. And so we have a robot named Pepper, and we also have Now. And Pepper, she's about 4 feet high, and it's not the one on the table there in the picture. And she will be programmed with a certain algorithm, and then you can speak with her, and based on how you respond to her questions or your conversation, that's how she'll react back to you. And so you can learn from conversations with Pepper. And then we have Latinx and Latin American studies. So like I was saying before, you do have to take 2 semesters of a language. And so you could look at this minor if you would like to add this on to your toolbox. So we have what are called living learning communities on campus. A living learning community is a community of students that have similar interests, similar classes. So like, for example, the health professions community, I actually lived in that when I was an undergrad. I was a speech pathology major originally, and I decided to live in the health professionals community. It was actually really nice. So there were a couple other people on the floor that were interested in speech pathology, but there's also nursing majors, students that were interested in pre-med and occupational therapy, a little bit of everything, but we had a lot of similar courses, so it was really nice to be able to take the bus together. Once you figure that out, you don't walk up hills anymore. And so we started taking the buses together. We'd walk around campus, we'd go see speakers, we'd go to the dining halls together. And so it was really nice to be able to have similar interests and be able to also talk about our classes. And then also we had the global languages community and the science scholars. Although we have a lot more like the aviation and business and honors, I usually mention these three because these three really were, because we're so large, our students are actually kind of all over the place, but these are the ones that are a little bit more prominent within our college. And also for, just in case you don't know, we have two different styles on campus. We have a community style and a suite style. So community style is one, everybody on the floor shares one bathroom that gets cleaned for you twice daily and they provide the supplies. Whereas a suite style is when you and a roommate share a bathroom with one or two other suite mates and you're in charge of cleaning it yourself and your own supplies. And I know that this year things are a little bit different because of COVID. And so, but typically what would happen is that you could live in any one of those learning communities, whether community style or a suite style. So, and that is arts and sciences in a nutshell. And so I'm going to direct your attention to where it says connect with your college, a plug for our social media. And so we have Facebook and Twitter, but we also have Instagram. And actually Instagram is run by myself and the student ambassadors within the arts and sciences. So we actually just put out a poll today to see where your favorite study spots are on campus and trying to get those, trying to get students to help us figure out which one's the best one to study at. So if you're interested in, come on and tune into our story. We also put out on Facebook and Twitter some of our accolades, awards, student spotlight, things like that. So if you just want to get a little more connected with your college or Western in general, I recommend that you find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And then also that is my email and my phone number. So even though I am working from home right now, that phone number is connected to my cell phone. And so if you have any questions or anything like that, you just feel free to call it 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and then I will be able to answer your questions. I will also send a follow-up email to you after this. So then you just have the presentation and information. I know that they're also going to put this up on the admissions website, this recording. And so if you want to come back and listen to me again, you have that option. If you do have any questions, like I said, my information is right there for you. Feel free to reach out to me. If you have a question for Ray specifically, you can always send that through too, and I'll forward it on to her and she'll be able to answer your question that way. We also have other student ambassadors that are in like political science, history, public relations, biomedical sciences, psychology. So we have students in every one of those areas. If you want to ask any of them a question too, you can go ahead and email that as well, and we'll be able to get you that answer. So I just want to say thank you for coming out today. It was great to meet you. And I really hope that if you do have any questions, you'll reach out. And thanks again. So go Broncos, and thanks for coming by.